Hey everyone, Mo here, and before the video begins, I just want to let you guys know that my schedule has opened up for me to do coaching again. So if you're interested in private one-on-one coaching for me to help you, whether you're a newer player and you want to excel at the game very quickly and learn the fundamentals without developing any bad habits early, or if you're an experienced player who's already maybe platinum or diamond in your top 1%, but you need some help filling in the gap to get you to that 0.01%, to make you just some of the best, then hit me up on Discord and I can get you in some private one-on-one coaching lessons to help you polish up any skills you want to refine and help you learn all of the secrets to becoming a top player. That's it. I hope you enjoy the video. Hey everybody, Mo here, and in this video is going to be bringing you guys a Meta Monday video for the week of September 9th on patch 2.14. So, a lot of things happened last week. We just had Worlds qualifiers. We just had a huge, shadow patch. I guess, a hot fix patch where they nerfed a bunch of shurima cards. So, there's a lot to go over this week as far as how things have changed. A lot has changed compared to the previous week of the most played decks on ladder. So before we get into the video, I want to remind you guys that 60% of the people that watch my videos aren't actually subscribed to me. So if you could do me a huge favor and click the subscribe button, it helps me out so much with the YouTube algorithm. And you can let me know in the comments down below what type of content you want to see from me. If you just want to see more deck guides, more gameplay, or more educational guides like these Meta Monday videos. So that's going to be it for the intro. Let's get into the meta report. So we're going to first go over the top 10 most played decks on America's ladder. So the 10 most played decks, and as you can see, the formats here is going to be a little bit different. I don't have pie charts to go off of from Cosmic because Cosmic uses Mobalytics data. The Mobalytics data was kind of scuffed because of the whole, they're having problems with the dual region cards. So their data was a little bit scuffed to this last week. That's fine. We're just going to go over and use my friend's site of Runeterra.ar. For those of you that don't know this website, Runeterra.ar is an amazing website. It gives you stats for the meta every week. It gives you a leaderboard so you can see what people are playing on the leaderboard. It's also a deck builder. It's kind of like Mobalytics, just with more features. It's dedicated specifically for Runeterra, whereas Mobalytics, I know, does things for like TFT, Valorant, and basically all of the Riot games. Runeterra.ar focuses mainly on Runeterra. So that's the website we're going to be using today. Let's go ahead and get into it. So number 1 with 11% play rate on ladder is Starfish, the Zoe Nami deck. So this deck, for those that don't know, kind of popped up more recently, just of last week, where you play Nami. You kind of just pass on turn 1, pass on turn 2. The goal is to level Nami on turn 4 consistently, and then just play out a bunch of elusives, and then use Nami as a way to make all of your little elusives really, really, really big. The best way to describe Nami is kind of like old Ezreal, where you can see she gives you burst speed plus 2 damage because it's burst speed, give a unit plus 2 power. And you can't really do much with her. She has 4 HP because she usually comes down leveled. And so it's really hard to kill 4 HP unit. So the best way to kill these decks, I believe Zoe Nami is weak into things like the Demacia rally style decks. I can't remember this. Stony Suppressor is really good into this because it makes their spells cost more, and this deck is a very spell-heavy deck. They want to play a bunch of cheap spells to make their units really big. Stony Suppressor good, Rally good. Draven Caitlyn, I think, is not horrible into it from what I understand, because anything that can actually kill Nami is really good. So anything with like a Culling Strike is really decent into Nami. Stuff like that is really okay into Nami. Things that this deck is really, really good into is going to be your Sion Draven, is going to be your Bandle Tree decks, your Gangplank Sejuani style decks, your kind of slower or mid-rangey style decks. You see here, another thing Runeterra.ar does that's really cool is show you the players that have the best win rate on it. So you see Drizoth has a 69% win rate, Yang has a 65% win rate, stuff like that. So it's another really cool stat that you can see on Runeterra.ar. Second most played deck is Draven Sion still, so Discard Midrange. This deck is really, really good on ladder. However, this deck was really underperforming in tournaments, as in nobody really brought it to tournaments because they expected it to just lose a lot. You want to use your Draven slot for something like Draven Caitlyn anyways, and then Draven Sion gets clowned on by Zoe Nami. It's really easy to target. But for ladder, this deck is still a beast. If you dodge the Zoe Nami, you still beat the Draven Caitlyns because you outvalue them. You beat the other mid-range decks because you outvalue them. You should be able to go wider over these like Lulu Poppy style decks, the rally. You should be able to just kind of match them and then eventually win by going, just taller than them with the Sion. And a lot of decks can't deal with the Sion card. I just recently put out a deck guide on Draven Sion if you want to go and check that out on my YouTube channel. And yeah, so still 56% win rate, so pretty good win rate. 10% of the ladder, so 20% of your games are going to be playing against one of these two. Pretty cool. Third deck, most played deck, is this new Poppy Lulu Rally deck. I think Swim was the first person to make this deck and kind of like show people how strong it was. And I know Nick made his own version kind of on the spot, and then went, I think it was like 8-0 with it or 8-1 with it, and hit rank 1 with Lulu Poppy. So Lulu Poppy reminds me a lot of the old like Zed Poppy deck, or I'm sorry, Zed Lulu deck, where it's just you swarm the deck, swarm the board with a bunch of smallish units, and then you rally, and then all that small damage adds up. Now that you have Poppy kind of just, you swarm the board with small units, and then Poppy makes all of your small units big, so it makes it a lot better. And then you rally and all that stuff, and it's really, really good. After that, we still have Darkness. Darkness, 58% win rate, 5% of the ladder. We know Darkness didn't have that good of a win rate last week, if I remember correctly. It's still not looking too hot. I know some people are doing amazing with it. Like Drizoth has an 84% win rate with Darkness. I think if you can find a really, really refined list, and if you can play it really, really well, it can't be that bad. However, this deck does lose to a lot of the rally decks. It loses to Rally. My personal opinion, it loses to Zoe Nami, especially if you're playing the way to kill the Catalyzer in turn 2. If you're playing line him up, knock him down, it's really, really good into Darkness. So it does have its bad matchups. However, you completely clown on things like Draven Sion. You should be beating things like other mid-range decks like, what's it called, Draven Caitlyn. We're going to lose to a lot of the anti-control decks. Then we have Lurk. So Lurk kind of made a resurgence at Worlds. A lot of people brought Lurk because it beats the Zoe Nami decks. It beats your Lulu Poppy Bandle decks. Any aggro deck is already good into these two because you just swarm them and you don't let them set up and do all the things broken things they want to do. However, Lurk has this special thing where they also play random fearsome units. So if you get like a really big unit that has fearsome or a really big unit that has overwhelm, then you're kind of just winning the game. If you ever hit a Pike, Pike kills Nami really easily. Pike kills Poppy really easily. If you can ever put a Pike on top of your deck with something like a Call to Pack, then Lurk has a really, really good chance at just dominating the game and not ever letting your opponent come back into it. Overwhelm and Fearsome are the two biggest keywords in the meta right now, because Fearsome beats all of the Bandle tree decks as well as Overwhelm because all of their units are tiny. What these decks do is they focus on swarming the board out with small units and then just hitting you and then just dealing chip damage over a couple turns with a big rally or something like that. And then Zoe Nami, they focus on passing the first couple turns and then play like a unit, right? Or play like a couple small units that they want to make big with Nami. And if you can play the Overwhelm, or Fearsome is really good because all their units are small until they start popping off with Nami on turn 5. If you swarm the board with Fearsomes like with Spiders or Fearsome aggro, then you're really, really good into them, and same into the Poppy Lulu. So I think Fearsome and Overwhelm are extremely good, but we'll get into that in a minute. But that's something that Pike and Rek'Sai do really well, is they play that big Overwhelm keyword. Next up is we have Draven Caitlyn. Very standard. This is basically like your old Draven Ezreal deck. It's just a very nice mid-range deck. They're all playing Lost Soul now. And there's not really too much to say about this. It's 4.2% of the meta. You just play mid-range. It's really good into your like Lulu Poppy decks because you get to kill them before they get to rally. The way you shut down rally decks is you kill all of their units before they rally. However, Lulu Poppy is special because they never run out of units because they, you know, play Mayor and Telescope, and then you can just get infinite telescopes and stuff like that. So Draven Caitlyn, good into mid-range decks. We still have Silver Auction up here as a 4% play rate. I think this is because for half of last week you still got to play Broken Silver Auction, but after I think it was Thursday, they nerfed, for those of you that don't know, they hotfix nerfed Ruin Runner to be a 6-3, and then they hot nerfed the Merciless Hunter to be a 4-2, and then they made Shapestone only +2/+1. So they put out a little small patch of cards to kind of nerf this Shurima Girl package, and that saw a pretty big impact on ladder so far. Like I actually haven't seen a single Silver Auction on ladder. I know people still brought Silver Auction to the World's Qualifier. I don't know if that was more or less because they spent a lot of time practicing with it and they didn't want to switch like last second, or if it's because they legitimately believe that Silver Auction is still really, really good. But it definitely has fallen off a lot on ladder, and we're going to see this play rate number probably take a drastic dip when we go into next week's Meta Monday. At number 8, we have Lulu Poppy. This is the exact same deck as the so it's the Bandle version, except you're playing elusives instead of all your Bandle cards. So instead of playing like Mayor and your Bandle cards, you're playing elusives. So this is like the deck that I won seasonals with. If you remember old Zed Lulu, where you would play a bunch of elusives and rally with Zed, this is the same idea. You play a bunch of elusives, you buff them with Poppy, and then you rally. Number 9 is going to be your Bandle Tree deck. So this is Noxus Bandle Tree. I was actually on Noxus Bandle Tree before everybody else. I was telling people Noxus Bandle Tree was the best version. people were telling me it wasn't. I was trying to tell people, like, you know, I told Nick, I said, hey, Noxus is great because you play House Spider, you get to play Flock, all this other stuff. They didn't agree. I told, I don't remember who else, but I was telling another streamer that Noxus Tree was the best version. They didn't agree. And then now Noxus Tree is having the best results. Multiple people have hit rank 1 with Noxus Tree. Noxus Tree was the only tree that was brought to Worlds outside of the triple tree lineups. Everyone that did bring Tree brought Noxus Tree because you get to play Flocks and Scorched Earth and stuff like that. So I was right, everyone else was wrong. And I basically had this deck. I was hitting up this guy on Twitter, and we were talking about Bandle Tree because I was going to bring Bandle Tree to Worlds, and we discovered Noxus with House Spiders and Flocks way before everybody else. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to give my tech and my lineup away before Worlds, but people started playing it because I think Swim, again, popularized it on his stream. So the secret kind of got out there, and people were playing it. But now it's definitively just the best. You get to play the best cards. It's the most played. Has 51% win rate. People are hitting rank 1 with it. And the last card we're gonna talk, or the last deck is gonna be top 10, is the Teemo Caitlyn Trap deck. Not really impressive. It has a highish win rate, but it still has, I'm sorry, highish play rate, but still has a really bad win rate. I think Impetuous Panda came up with a list that wasn't doing too bad. Somebody hit rank 1 with him in Americas with his Caitlyn Teemo deck. So I think people are probably just playing it wrong or building it wrong. Once we get a more like refined list, I could definitely see this deck being good. Maybe in a specific meta where you're trying to kill things early or you're just trying to race your opponent. I have played the deck a couple times. I think I went 3-1 with it. It seemed okay. It was alright. I just think there needs to be a more refined list overall than what people are probably playing. So those are your top 10 played decks in the meta right now for America's Ladder. So now I'm just going to talk about decks that aren't played that I think are really, really good. And I kind of touched on it earlier. I think Overwhelm and Fearsome Keywords are nuts. So the decks that play Overwhelms are going to be really, really good, as well as Fearsome Aggro decks are going to be really, really good. I think the best deck right now that's not being played is easily Shurima Freljord Overwhelm. You get to play all of your Overwhelm cards. So if you look at just these top 10, Overwhelm, I think it does well into Zoe Nami because you get to like kill them because they don't have too many blockers. But there is a chance that you could easily just lose because they play like, oh, level Nami on 4. If you're not threatening lethal with some type of crazy like Renekton into Battle Fury type of line and you can't kill their Nami, then they can easily just start popping off with elusive. Like if they get a big lifesteal elusive, you probably lose the game. However, if they don't have a way to save their Nami on turn 4, if they play Nami and you just play like Renekton, pull it in with a Ruthless Predator, and their Nami dies, you're probably winning the game. And that's something that this deck does well, is because you play so many ways to give vulnerable, you can kill their Nami on 5, even through Sunblessed Vigor, which is really, really important, and that's why I think it's good. Draven Sion, you beat it because you overwhelm all their small units. They don't play any good combat tricks. Lulu Poppy, you beat it because they're really small. Senna Viger, you beat it because you play Spell Shield units, right? Like, it's not the best matchup in the world, but you still beat it here. Like, Overwhelm actually straight up beats these because they can't deal with large units. This deck excels at killing small things over and over and over again, unless you let their darkness stack up. And their biggest thing here is that if they play Viger on 4 and a deck can't deal with Viger, the darkness stacks up and it gets crazy. You're playing a deck that interacts with backline units. You can deal with these back row champions like Viger because you play all of these exhausts, you play ways to give things vulnerable. So because you can kill the Viger, I think this matchup is good. You eventually just slam a big Ruin Runner, and then you go play Ruin Runner, play Battle Fury, you're dead, right? Rek'Sai Pike, this matchup's going to be a little bit closer because it is an aggro deck, and Overwhelm is worse into aggro than anything else. Like the really, really hard aggro decks. However, if Lurk doesn't open with a really, really aggressive hand, and I'm talking like, when I say aggressive, I mean like really aggro. Like, you can say Lulu Poppy is considered aggro, sure, but they're not hyper swarm aggro. They just play like a bunch of shitty little units. I'm talking about like discard aggro pirate spider shit, so that's killing you on turn 4. Lulu Poppy is not killing you on turn 4 and turn 5. Lurk is not typically killing you on turn 4, turn 5 unless they draw really, really well, so you're probably overwhelming there. Caitlyn Draven, you're destroying this matchup. They actually cannot deal with big units unless they're damaged. So again, you just kind of get in like one big attack, and then you go play Ruin Runner, play Battle Fury. They can't deal with your Spell Shield unit. Like, yes, they nerfed Ruin Runner's HP, but the biggest thing is they didn't nerf Ruin Runner's attack, and they didn't nerf Ruin Runner's Spell Shield. So fun fact, if you put Battle Fury, if you put Battle Fury onto Ruin Runner, it's still a 14 power Spell Shield unit that your Draven Ezreal opponent cannot, your Draven Caitlyn opponent cannot deal with. And it's just, it's too much for them to deal with it. Separate Auction matchup is going to be a little bit harder because they do play things like Concerted Strike, but you don't have to worry about this matchup. People aren't going to be playing this deck more than likely anyways. Lulu Poppy, same deal. They can't deal with you. This deck can get really aggressive hands where they do kill you on turn 4 and turn 5 though. So that's something you have to look out for. But if they can't kill you on those turn 4, turn 5, or if you play ways to deal with their Lulu and deal with their Zed because you have vulnerable, they don't play many ways to give a barrier at burst speed. So let's say they play Zed on turn 3, you play Renekton on 4 Ruthless Predator, right? Or Renekton on 4 into Exhaust. Boom, you kill their Zed, they can't do anything about it. They're not going to be able to save their Zed from a 6-5 Renekton, right? Unless they play like exactly Barrier Girl or something preemptively. So it's really easy for you to deal with these back row champions. Dealing with the Lucis is kind of hard though. If they beat you down and then rally with the Lucis, that could be difficult. Treat, you're going to win this matchup because all of their units are fucking tiny. All of their units are like 2/2s or like 3/2s at most. So the only unit that they have that has a halfway decent body is Poppy. And that's just because she comes down as a 5/4. Outside of Poppy, everything else is 2 HP or 3 HP at most, and you just kill them. Caitlyn Teemo is... Also, same thing, they can't deal with large units, right? So you just play a unit, you play Battle Fury, you win the game. They can't deal with Spell Shield, Battle Fury. I think Overwhelm is a super underplayed deck. It's probably what I'll be using to hit Masters off stream, because I think it's really, really underrated. I'll probably have some gameplay for you guys soon, maybe a deck guide on the way to play it for those of you that are new to my channel or new to Overwhelm in general. So that's it for this week's Meta Monday. Those are the 10 most played decks in Masters in America, and then I gave you the deck that I think is going to be really good. I'll put a deck code down to my Overwhelm deck that I would be playing right now to hit Masters and to climb really, really easily. So make sure to check in the description for that. Also, look in the description for my Discord so you get notifications when I drop a YouTube video or when I go live. Speaking of live, go follow my Twitch channel. I stream on there almost every single day. Sub here on YouTube because I put videos out 5 days a week. That's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.